You've probably heard it said that life is a journey, and I believe it to be true. We're all on different types of roads. Your road right now might be like this, curved and go in all different directions. Or maybe your road is straight right now and life is good. Either way, I want you to note that today your road has led you to this video. Now, this video is actually not about me, it's about you. And you now have to have a choice because you've just hit the proverbial fork in the road. You see, this video is about your road and you're gonna have to choose the information that you hear. Is it something that's gonna make you want to maybe take a different course? So before we get started, I wanna make you two bold promises. Bold promise number one is that what you're about to hear may become the most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. That's a big promise. And bold promise number two is I believe this could be your chance to be first at a technology that's even better, in my opinion, than Apple computers. Hi, my name is Rich, and for many years, my wife and I, we worked in the fitness industry. As you can see, for several different brands. We love the fitness industry and helping people along the road to wellness accomplish their fitness goals. But there's a challenge working in the fitness industry. You feel like you walk around with a bullseye on your back. Everybody wants to pitch you a product, and you can't discount passion, so what do? Well, here's the thing. I devised two basic rules before I looked at anybody's product line, and I want you to ask yourself, does this make sense? So imagine you bring a product into me and I say to you, listen, I'm sure you're passionate, I love your passion, but here's one thing. I can't tell 9,000 people that we decided to sell your product at our gym just because you're passionate. So number one, I don't want to see your brochures. Well, why would I say that? Because I never once put an ad in the paper or built a video and said, hey, you should join our gym. It's the dirtiest gym in town. No, nobody does that. So number one is I didn't want to see your brochures because of course it's going to be good. All right. Number two is I said, listen, last time I checked, God made green tea and turmeric and all these different ingredients. So I really don't care about the ingredients in your product because you don't have exclusive rights to them. So let's go to a website called PubMed.gov. Now, more about that later, but PubMed.gov is the largest online resource for scientific data. So I would say, listen, we're going to go to this website and we're going to type the name of your product. And usually I got 3 words, no results found. Now, I'm sure the person's passionate, but I had to make sure that there was scientific data. Now, what does that have to do with this video? Because what I'm about to share with you has amazing scientific research. So I have a question. Think back when you were a child. How did you feel as a child? You felt good, right? You could run, you could play, you could jump, you could do all kinds of stuff, and it seemed like you had boundless energy. And if you're young right now, well, that's great. How would you like to keep that vigor and that health? So, as we age, the question I would ask older people is, what supplement did you take as a child to feel the way you did? So I'd ask you that question. And you would probably say, well, Rich, I didn't take any product. And that's actually my point. Your body worked optimally as a child. Now, as we age and we think back to the way we felt as a child, the question I would have for you is, what if you could turn your body back onto the settings that you had as a child? What if you could reach inside your DNA and flip the switches and help your body heal itself faster? That is what I want to show you today. A new technology that's different than supplementation. It's activation of the body. This is how I was introduced to what you're about to see. The video that I'm going to play for you is an ABC primetime investigation. When someone brought this to me, this is how I was introduced to it, and I love to tell this story. Watch this ABC video because this will set the stage for what we're about to share.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist. His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
Can you scoop? Yeah, there we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body.
Leading to disease.
Leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes. So you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks.
Even mental disease.
Yes.
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
Dr. James Crapo with the National Jewish Medical Center in Denver is also researching Protandim for the company. But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would. I can't guarantee it's going to eliminate any diseases or cure any diseases.
But we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. And I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe.
It's the little yellow pill that scientists say could eliminate chronic diseases and help you live well into your hundreds. Quinones has been taking Protandim for 2 weeks now and tells Extra,
I am sleeping better. I feel a lot better and also energized when I do wake up.
You know, as a patient advocate, I stumbled upon Protandim almost 3 years ago. Someone introduced me to Protandim. I just looked at the research and figured out, hey, wait a minute, I have to take 360 oranges in 1 day to get the same effect of one pill? Sold.
Antioxidants, okay? These are still good, right?
Oh, not only are they good, but we've breathed a whole new life into this topic. We now know that you can actually boost your own body's defenses without even just taking vitamin C by eating lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. But there's also a new supplement on the market called Protandim that is made from an extract of herbs that actually upregulates and boosts your natural manufacturing of antioxidant enzymes.
Wow.
So this is going to reduce those harmful free radicals, reduce some of that cell damage associated with disease, and this is a double thumbs up.
How do you find the energy to keep doing it night after night? We get a lot of comments. So people have been emailing me and saying they love how you look, like you're ageless. It's incredible. So
I have a secret.
What is your secret?
I have a secret formula, and it's a company called LifeVantage. They came up with a product called ProTandem. Now, what causes the aging process is free radicals in our body, oxidative stress. This ProTandem stuff, I've been taking it for 2 years.
We have it on the table right there.
Clinically proven to slow the aging process down. It reduces the oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So I tested it, and it works. And the nice thing, it's not pharmaceutical. It's real food.
I'm going to have to give it a try.
All right, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that video. Hundreds of times at least. And every time I watch it, I almost have to pinch myself. Is this really true? Now, let's narrow it down. John Quinones had his blood tested to prove if what they said was true. And they were measuring something called oxidative stress. Do you remember that? All right, now I have a question. What was John Quinones' oxidative stress reduced by in about 2 weeks? That's right, 45% reduction in 2 weeks. Now, here's my question for you. Did you ever hear the term oxidative stress? Because I certainly didn't know what it was. I mean, nobody wakes up and says, oh, my oxidative stress is killing me today. Nobody does that. But here's what I began to understand, that everything that we deal with as we age and disease leads back to one problem, oxidative stress. Now, going back to what I told you earlier about this website, PubMed.gov. This is the largest, again, scientific data that's been peer-reviewed. If you don't believe me, check the difference between a published study and a peer-reviewed study. Long story short, you can validate the peer-reviewed studies. Published studies are just mostly opinions. So as you can see, I zoomed in here to show you that I researched how many studies are on oxidative stress. And you can easily see that there's over 200,000 studies on PubMed. It's a big, big deal. In fact, that graph that looks like Evel Knievel's launch ramp is how many studies were submitted each year to PubMed. And as you can see, since 2005, it's escalated dramatically, and there's more studies every year. So it's a big, big deal. But what the heck is oxidative stress? So looking at this slide right here, oxidative stress in simple terms is like when you cut an apple in half. What happens to it? It slowly browns over time. Why? Because of oxidation in the air. Now, the way our bodies slowly turn brown inside is through eating food, from putting your cell phone to your head, to breathing benzene when you pump your gas or whatever. Our cells are making copies of copies of copies, and what happens when you make a copy of a copy of a copy? You lose resolution. Then the slide on the right is basically a medical slide, and what it shows you that the problem is oxidative stress, and it leads to dis-ease. So oxidative stress affects everyone. In fact, I want to share with you how it's affected my life. And if you look at this slide, you can see the center is the problem. Oxidative stress, free radical damage. It affects our organs, and when those are adversely affected, leads to dis-ease. Now, in my own life, it has affected me in many different ways. You can see this first picture is a picture of my parents, who both died of diabetes complications. And if you type in oxidative stress space diabetes, you're going to see that there's over 15,000 studies that say that is linked together. This next person is my grandmother who passed away. Here's my other grandmother that passed away of Alzheimer's. And then lastly, this is my sister. She was just 4 years older than me. And I'm going to tell you this. She did not wake up one day and say, I got breast cancer last night. It was a perpetual problem underneath. Now here's the question. What if you could slow down the oxidative stress in your body? Now, if you remember from John Quinones, how much was it? 45% reduction. Now, there's a whole bunch behind this that's exciting, but I don't want to spend this whole video telling you the story. In fact, LifeVantage, what they did is they created a video that will kind of bring you up to speed into this thing we call biohacking. And so I want to share that with you right now.
LifeVantage began in a lab with a single powerful scientific discovery. A discovery that proved the people around us have more capacity, potential, and ability within them than we have been led to believe. At LifeVantage, we can no longer accept the limits of the human condition. So we began introducing the world to biohacking. The idea that you can be better today than you were yesterday. That you can take control of your own biology. That your health doesn't have to decline as you get older. You don't have to simply accept the hand you've been dealt. In just a few short years, LifeVantage has brought biohacking to the mainstream, shortening the gap between cutting-edge scientific research and the customer. Every day in research labs around the world, we are learning how much more our bodies can do for us if we only flip the right internal switches. So we're creating products that flip those switches. And we're doing it with a dedication to quality and safety and a different approach to selling those products. Sure, we could have gone the expected route. Sold our products on big box shelves just like everyone else. In fact, at first we did just that. But we realized something. Our product sales were fueled by word of mouth and personal success stories, not marketing dollars. So we stopped paying big box stores and started paying our customers for what they were already doing, which allowed us to eliminate the gamble of traditional advertising in favor of performance-based payouts. And in the process, we ended up turning biohacking into a movement, empowering women, minorities, and all entrepreneurs to break societal barriers and realize what they're capable of, fueled by the power of a leveraged income. From 127 biohackers when we began to over 1 million in less than a decade. The movement has become a global phenomenon with no signs of slowing down. And our products aren't the only way we're investing in human potential. We're creating hardworking technology using AI, machine learning, and mobility to make it as easy to run a LifeVantage business as it is to take an Uber.
Welcome to the LifeVantage app.
Because of that first profound discovery, we are fiercely dedicated to helping others see what we have seen, to see the immense potential in those around us. It's an inspiring way to see the world. It's why the biohacker movement continues to grow at a blistering pace. It's why giving back to our communities is a fundamental core belief. And it's why in a few short years, we have expanded into 15 countries and counting and grown from one groundbreaking nutrigenomic product to over 20. It's why we now have relationships with CEOs, sports teams, and influencers. It's why LifeVantage has grown from $3 million in revenue our first year to closing in on $250 million. And it's why we will never stop. Because to change the way the world sees, you can't merely settle for different. You have to be better and engineer a world of potential in the process.
All right, I love that video, and I love this company, and I love their passion to really help people. So I want to help double click on this a little bit and show you what's the difference between this and buying something at GNC or buying it from somewhere else. You see this picture behind me? This is a big cord of wood. Now I live in the Pacific Northwest, and for many, many years, hundreds of years, people use wood like this to heat their home. And it's not a bad way to go, but here's the problem with wood. You got to find the tree. Then you got to cut the tree, then you got to split the tree, you got to let it dry out, and on it goes. But here's the question. What is the purpose of this entire process? To get one result. And what is it? Heat. So that is why all this process is there. Now, what does that have to do with anything? This is the picture of supplementation. Delivering product to the body and hoping it'll pull it in and use it to get a result. Now, do we do this much anymore in the country? No, we don't. We use a thermostat. You go to the thermostat and say, listen, give me 72 degrees. That's what I want. Why does that work? Because it's a system response. You're saying, listen, I need this, and there's a system in place that can give you heat. So here's what I'm asking you to do. To stop buying into the hype and start seeing the science. There's a new technology that we can activate the human body. Now, this is a great example of the difference between antioxidants that you consume and the kind of antioxidants that I'm talking about, the activation of your body. Now, should you eat blueberries and strawberries and fruits and vegetables? Absolutely, but here's the science between antioxidants. There's what's called direct antioxidants, what you consume or you drink, Palm Wonderful or acai juice or whatever. It's all a 1-to-1 ratio. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about consuming, I'm talking about activation. If you can see from the bottom, it activates things like catalase, glutathione, SOD, which stands for superoxide dismutase. Every second those enzymes go to work, they can eliminate 1 million free radicals per second. That's the difference between consuming and activation. So is Nerf2 a big deal? Well, it is. This study right here is from Washington State University. And here's what it says. We may be on the verge of new literature of health effects that may become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. Now, I want you to pause for a second. Think about all the things that have been invented or discovered, and Washington State thinks that this may be the most extraordinary preventive breakthrough. Why? Because it's the difference between taking something and the difference between activating something through this pathway called Nerve2. This field is called Nutria Genomics, and it's how nutrition affects your genes. Nutria Genomics, and it's going to be a big deal to the tune of $17 trillion by the year 2023. It's a really big deal, and you're one of the first even hearing about it. So what happened since that ABC video aired in 2005? Well, LifeVantage did not sit on their hands. They've been developing technology based on human activation, which led us to multiple products in a $500 billion industry. So our flagship product is what you've been hearing about, but there's many other different products that use activation as well. And I'm not going to get into each and every one of them. Your goal today is to listen to this information and find out if this resonates with you. Is this a road that you want to take? Do you want to be activated? That's what you have to ask yourself. But I do want to show you a few pictures because I believe a picture is worth 1,000 words. So look at this photo right here. The lady on the left was a 60-year-old lady, which by the way, we don't use celebrities or anything. These are real customers, okay? So 60-year-old lady who had psoriasis so bad she would not wear shorts or a dress in public. After 3 months of taking the internal activation called Protandim and using an external Protandim, which is actually called True Science, which activates the largest organ in your body, which is your skin, this was her results. Isn't that amazing? Look at the burn victim. Usually when you have darker pigmentation in your skin and you burn it, it doesn't usually come back well. Well, that's because this stuff is not lotion. It's activating the Nerve2 pathway in your skin cells and helping them heal better. So this is an amazing picture. Now, next one I'm going to show you is kind of funny. I don't know why guys do this, but this guy on your right decided to use the product on half his face. He wanted to be sure it actually worked. Now, can you tell which side he used it on and which side he didn't? Well, his barber thought he had a stroke or Bell's palsy or something, and so hopefully he used it on the other side. But just another great example of activating the body and not just putting lotion on your face. Completely different. This picture right here is a picture of me. Now, in this company, I earned a free trip to the Bahamas, and my wife and I went to it, and we had a really good time. But somewhere on the way back, I touched a doorknob or whatever, and I got a thing called encephalitis. And it got into my cells, it got into my brain was swelling, I was losing my eyesight. And I was hospitalized 2 different times in a short amount of time. And I won't tell you the whole entire story, but this photo shows that I had some rashes on my skin. And the doctor, who was the infectious disease doctor, said, listen, you need to take this steroid or it's going to get crazy out of control. And I said, well, it's my body. I'm choosing not to do that because I have a product that activates the healing response in my skin and I'm going to use it. And that was the result of that. Which, by the way, my infectious disease doctor said to me, listen, I don't know what's going on in your body, but if we were by a university, we would use you as a test subject for medical students because you should be having rashes from head to toe and it should take you a year to recover. Well, long story short, I recovered in about 60 days from a disease that they said I should have had for a year. Now, it's not that I'm special, it's that my body was fully activating this pathway internally and externally, and my body was able to heal quicker. And that's what I love about this. It's not what's in our products that are important, it's what it does to the human body. All right, so now you might be saying, well, this stuff looks pretty interesting. Maybe I want to become a biohacker. Well, I want to show you this short little cartoon video, and it's going to help you understand what we call the Vitality Stack.
Have you ever upgraded your phone just because your old one couldn't keep up anymore? If so, did you know that by doing so, you unlocked the secret to awe-inspiring memory, metabolism, and energy? Well, let me explain. Your smartphone is a powerful supercomputer, a complex system of code and hardware working together seamlessly. Well, at least that's how it starts out. We all know the longer you use your phone, the slower it gets. The code from your new Angry Birds game interacts with the code from that new social media app, which interacts with the code of the photos you just added of your nephew falling into the cake at your cousin's wedding. Every keystroke, every swipe, inputs code into that phone. And sometimes those interactions overload your old processor and an app crashes, or your once blazing phone slows to a painstaking crawl. So how does knowing that give you awe-inspiring memory, metabolism, and energy? Well, your body's a lot like that smartphone. It's also a complex system of code and hardware working seamlessly together, at least that's how it starts out. But like a smartphone, our bodies wear down over time. We're constantly inputting new code, from the food we eat, to the air we breathe, to the light in our rooms and everyday stresses that we put ourselves through. All of it is constantly programming and reprogramming our body. We can reprogram larger muscles through working out, or a spare tire with a few lines of donut code. All of that code interacting with each other means eventually we get bogged down. Our brains aren't as sharp. We have a harder time waking up in the morning. We put on weight. We need our bodies to be the smartphone straight out of the box, but they become more like the one we all have shoved away in a junk drawer. New research has confirmed that this is not a software problem, meaning it's not simply about trying harder or not being smart enough or something that's just part of, quote, who you are. This is a hardware issue. Which is great news. You don't have to accept these things as simply part of getting older. You can upgrade your hardware. So why don't we? Well, scientists have been searching for years for that answer. But this isn't simply replacing a processor. Your processor is something called your microbiome, which is a vast army of bacteria that control your immune systems. And your battery is something called mitochondria, and you don't have just one, you have a few trillion powering you. Think of these like mini engines converting chemical fuel into energy to run your entire body. They also produce the materials that allow your cells to communicate. So every time your brain begins searching for an answer, or focusing, or recalling a memory, that's them at work. And yes, they also happen to be the only place inside your body that can burn fat, so you can blame them for your slowing metabolism. Unfortunately, over time, most of these important processes can't keep up with the workload. And eventually you start to feel sluggish, foggy, or out of shape. So if upgrading these processes is the secret to awe-inspiring memory, metabolism, and energy, what can you do? For the past 100 years, the best answer science could provide was supplements. Unfortunately, that was like fighting an out-of-control fire in your body with nothing but a Dixie cup. When your phone gets bogged down, you have two options: replace the phone or hack the processes to work like they were designed to. Well, replacing your body is not an option. But is it possible to hack the processes to work like they were designed to? Well, a few years ago, some scientists discovered something big, like Nobel Prize big. They discovered biohacking is possible. In fact, with the right natural compounds, our systems can be dialed back up. Our patented technology furthered the science in Nutria Genomics and led to a flurry of research and publications from groups like Harvard, Ohio State, ABC Primetime, the National Institute on Aging, American Heart Association, American Journal of Physiology, Circulation, LSU, and more, all confirming the power of Nutria Genomics to flip the switches in our genes. In other words, when you biohack your body so that your cells work like they're supposed to, your entire body's like Mario on that star thing. You have incredible energy, you have awe-inspiring memory and clarity, and the metabolism that your body deserves. It's a game changer. You feel like nothing could bring you down, not spinning turtles, man-eating plants, or giant bullets with mean faces. The suckers are bouncing off you and you're like, no big deal, got this. That's how you feel every day. Nutria Genomics is now being utilized by elite athletes, CEOs, and serious biohackers to gain an edge. Sad part is, there are millions of people going through life right now not having any idea what life is like on the Super Mario Bros. Star thingy. They don't know what it's like to feel like a bag of awesome all day. We sculpted a simple Nutria Genomics starter kit to help you almost immediately get the benefits of mental clarity and focus, healthy metabolism, and increased energy. Things so vital, we call the kit our Vitality Stack. If you watch this far, chances are you're a biohacker at heart. So be one, put it to the test, discover what it's like to be Mario, to catch a glimpse of your potential, to have awe-inspiring memory, metabolism, and energy. But look, maybe that slowed down iPhone 4 is your thing. Who are we to judge? But just think, if you love the feeling of a new phone, imagine how you'd love the feeling of a brain and body that work like they're supposed to. Because when you have that, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So get your Vitality Stack today and find out what it feels like to unlock your memory, metabolism, and energy. Let's see what's possible for you.
All right, so that's the Vitality Stack. Now, there's lots of different ways that you could biohack yourself. You can choose different things. This right here just kind of gives you an example of how you could structure some biohacking products. And I think I made good on my first promise. This may become the most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. I think I've made good on that because I'm not saying it, it's Washington State University. So I want to flip the coin over and tell you why I believe that this is as good, if not better, than Apple computers. And here's why. We're moving into something called the new gig economy. Have you ever bought anything on Amazon? Well, of course you have. I'm sure you have. Here's my question. Did you invest in Uber or Airbnb or even Facebook for that matter? My question is, why didn't you? Because probably you didn't. Here's the reason why. Nobody said, hey, hold up, let me tell you what's going to happen. And they laid it out for you and they helped you see the vision. Probably never happened for you. But even if they did, maybe you're like me. When I first heard of Uber, I'm like, hold up. You want me to get in a stranger's car, they're going to drive me across town, and I'm not even going to pay for that because it's going to automatically come out of my checking account? I don't think so. Nobody's getting access to my checking account. I didn't see it. But Uber makes more money than Ford Motor Company, and they do 1 million rides per day. It just blows my mind. But I wasn't innovative enough. I didn't see it, and it's just crazy. And that's exactly what you have to be. You have to be innovative and look for something coming around the corner. Now, it would have been nice to invest in Uber, but you have something that I have. It's actually called a disease. You know what the disease I'm talking about? It's called hindsight. Look at this photo right here. You can look at this photo, and who is this guy? Well, it's Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford did not invent the automobile. What he did was invent a way to mass produce a technology. I really want you to think about this for a second. In fact, I want you to take a time machine with me. I want you to stand in the mud right here. Pretend you really are here. And this is really important. Who is the smartest person in this photo? Now, when I show this to people, you know what they say? The man on the horse. And maybe you're thinking the same thing. And I think that would be true if you lived in that day. Because that man literally is on his proverbial white horse. He's an older man. He's seen a lot of things in his life. And he's looking at this contraption in the mud. And you have to use horses to pull it out. And everybody's trying to get it out of the mud. Now, pause. If you knew what you know today, would you still just be a horse person? Or would you say, yeah, this may be a bad situation, but eventually there's going to be roads everywhere. And you would know what was coming. But the problem is you don't have that benefit right now. You have hindsight. And hindsight is easy. Hindsight, as they say, is crystal clear. So I'm actually asking people to get in the mud with me in this biohacking Nutria Genomic field called NRF2 activation. Would it not take an innovator in this day to say, listen, gentleman on the horse, this may look bad now, but there's a day coming when roads will be everywhere and this will change the world. Most people would not have seen that. So what does innovators get out of this? Well, if you look at this photo right here, Henry Ford's in the center. He radically changed the world of transportation. Look to the one to the left. That's the Wright brothers. Did you know when the Wright brothers were doing this that they were told that man-made flight is impossible? If God meant you to fly, he would have given you wings. That was the experts of the day. Well, now we look back and the whole world has been changed with air travel. And the last person on the far right, who is that? That's Alexander Graham Bell. You might even be watching this video on your phone. Everybody has a phone in their hand. And I'm pretty sure Alexander Graham Bell, although was excited about his technology, had no idea that his technology would change the world. Now, why is that important? Because this next slide is going to blow your mind. What do all those people I just told you about have in common with the man in the video? Well, Dr. Joe McCord won the same medal that all of those other people did. It's what's called the Elliot Crescent Medal. It's given to people who are innovators, who change the way we understand something. And I believe this technology of human activation, it's going to revolutionize the world, just like people like Henry Ford. In fact, look at this quote by Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said, well, give us faster horses. They did not even think that there was a different way. And that's because Henry Ford was an innovator. And I have a question. Are you an innovator? All right, look at this slide right here. This is what's called the Rogers Bell Curve. Every company goes through this phases in which somebody sees the opportunity and adopts it. So if you look right here at the beginning, you can see that it's an innovator who sees the opportunity and gets a part of it. Like somebody who bought the first iPhone before anybody else did and stood in line to get it. That is an innovator. Then it goes through what's called the early adopting phase, when more people start seeing it. And as you can see, it progressively gets all the way to what's called the laggard. And the laggard says, if I have to have a cell phone because I can't have my landline, I guess I will. That is a laggard, and they never see anything because they're too late to the party. All right, so look at the top, right? It says right here. It basically says that if you can be a part of something before there's 150,000 people, it's considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. LifeVantage has less than 80,000 people in the world looking at this opportunity. This is early adopter innovator phase right now, and you have your chance to be a part of something amazing. All right, so I love this slide because LifeVantage pays us 8 different ways, and one of the ways that I'm most excited about is the Jeep. When you become a Pro 7 in this company, LifeVantage gives you the title to a Jeep. Now, I'm not going to go through all the ways that you get paid, because if you're that kind of weird person that wants to get in the mud, then reach out to our team and we'll dig into that. But here's the thing. Do you want to get in the mud? Do you want to get in there? Well, I kind of do in a Jeep because it's a lot of fun. But back to that picture of Henry Ford, those people were innovators. All right, so I want to show you this one last example. This is Thomas Edison. And for hundreds of years, how did we get light? We got it by candlelight or some kind of oil lighting. This was the invention for thousands of years. And when he came up with the light bulb, it changed everything. And it changed the world. Now people could do things at night. But the problem with new inventions is that it's not easy to be adopted. And I love this cartoon. The light bulb is going to the gallows. And who's hanging the light bulb? It's the candles, because they don't like what he stands for. And sometimes I honestly feel like I have this light bulb and the world is still using candles. All right, so you've made it this far. You know that you're at the fork of the road. And the question is this a road you want to take? Now, when I share this information with people, usually you're going to be one of 3 people. And here's what it is. It's not for you. And if that's who you are, that's totally fine. But thank you for taking the time to watch it. But most people, about 80% of the people that I share this with, they're the person in the middle saying, you know what? I want to be a biohacker. I want to maximize my genetic potential. I don't want to age faster. And 80% of LifeVantage's revenue comes from this middle column. And if that's who you are, then you're a number 2, and that's awesome. We'd love to have you. The last person is the crazy biohacking influencer who's the innovator, who wants to get in the mud like this picture I showed you earlier. Do you want to be in the mud? Do you want to help move this car down the road because you know that eventually roads will be everywhere and you want to take advantage of that? If you're number 1, we want to hear from you. So whatever one you are, 1, 2, or 3, thank you for getting to this point. Someone on our team is going to reach out to you and ask you that. Be ready to tell them which type of person you are. Thank you for watching this video. And as I always like to end things, remember to love God and live with passion.